Hey guys, Victoria Haffer here of Center of Possibilities. And I am here to talk about the elephant in the room, loneliness. I I spend quite a bit of time on social media and especially on platforms like Facebook. And I'm in a lot of women's groups and especially the younger women. And I'm just seeing so many comments around people who are feeling loneliness, right? It's just like what and it's like this thing of loneliness, like the greatest lie that we've been told and sold is that we are separate from the divine, that we are separate from source. So we have to kind of go back to generational learnings and trauma and unwinding a lot of those belief systems. And then people are experiencing this heavy feeling of loneliness, even when they have, even around friends and family, and even if they have a partner, right? So it's sort of like we've got to for step one. Are you feeling lonely? So there's a difference between being alone and being lonely, right? So I enjoy my alone time, but I also have some wonderful friends and family and my beloved who really get me and know me, and I can truly be myself, right? Like when I was younger, I wasn't always that way. I always sort of felt like the square peg trying to fit into the round hole. I always felt like I was a like an alien, literally an alien, which I now know that I am a star seed and that I literally did drop in to the planet Earth. It's kind of interesting as you can reflect on the past, where I was, but now knowing that there were times that I experienced extreme loneliness. Um, and I love animals. For those of most of you know, I love animals. I have a very strong connection to the animal kingdom, and I used to try to fill that void, that loneliness void, with animals. I had chinchillas, I had a rabbit, I had an iguana, I had a fish tank. Um, I had multiple parrots. I had an African gray and a yellow-naped Amazon and a miniature macaw and a gray cheek parakeet. So I was constantly looking outside of myself to fill this void, this void that we call loneliness, where you can be in a crowded room with a bunch of people and still feel alone. And so I want to chat with you about a few things, and really the things that I have, how I healed that aspect of me, because I would consider myself a lone wolf, right? I don't know if anybody resonates with that out there, but I would definitely absolutely consider myself, would have considered myself a lone wolf. I was a loner. And as a born leader, I've never been one to be a follower, which again, there's no judgment. Not everyone's meant to be a leader, right? Not everyone is born to be a leader. Um, and I, I always, if you said to go left, I would go right. So it was sort of like that whole thing of like, you can't tell me what to do. I mean, heck, I got thrown out of kindergarten, right? For not following the rules. So I've always been that sacred rebel, that, sort of a rule breaker. Um, and I also just didn't take information for face value just because someone said it. I constantly questioned authority as a child, um, teachers, administrators, police, uh, my parents. Yeah, I was definitely a rebel. Um, And so sometimes we just have that innate ability. It's just that thing, it's part of our DNA. It's part of our genetics. It's part of our blueprint, or divine blueprint. It's part of our, the Akashic records. And maybe you're also tapping into past live stuff. I mean, I joke, and, one of my nicknames is Queen V, Queen Victoria. And I absolutely have, through past life regressions and downloads, that I have, my lineage is definitely in royalty. So, there's a lot of those things that can come up for us, as well as trauma. So a lot of times people who tend to be empaths, the greatest empaths, also tend to have been experienced a lot of dysfunction in childhood, not having their needs met. So maybe addiction, maybe abuse, sexual, physical, emotional neglect. Just because you're empathic and you have perhaps some PTSD, it doesn't mean that you were abused as a child, right? So we all know, I've done extensive training and work and reading and study in trauma and healing the trauma response, which, however we're showing up in the world, whether it be through the fight or flight or freeze or fawning, right? So however we respond, can have to do with if we felt safe as a child. So inner child healing can be so powerful around the loneliness thing. I know for me, for so many years, for me to be vulnerable around other people, that was freaking hard. And vulnerability to me, like if someone, I just couldn't be vulnerable. I just couldn't ask for help. I couldn't ask for support. I was so afraid of the abandonment and the possibility of rejection. Now I know these things because I've done so much work around it, and so have had so much knowledge cultivated. But at the time, I didn't see it that way. I thought I was protecting myself. I thought I was protecting my heart. But really what was happening was, that whole thing of, if you don't try, you can't fail, right? You can't fail. You can't succeed either if you don't do anything. So that deep, deep, deep yearning of loneliness, part of it for me as a spiritual being, multidimensional being, living in this amazing body and choosing to incarnate into this lifetime, I was experiencing a loneliness for my star people, for my spiritual family, for the galactic family, my galactic family, my dragon family, my dolphin and whale family, right? So it's not just that. It's not just that you're lonely and it's something that quote unquote needs to be healed, but having the awareness around this piece that of where is the loneliness coming from, this deep, deep, deep feeling of loneliness. And look, and so yes, I can be yearning to be with my spirit family, my spirit family, and it through meditation and through reflections and through deep healing spiritual practices, you can integrate that aspect. And then there's the other piece in which, where are your people in physical form, right? Where are your people on the planet? When I was younger, a lot of the spiritual, people were in the spiritual closet, as I call it. And now I think we're in such a greater state where there's been such a huge spiritual awakening that so many more people are coming out of the spiritual closet and being more open, right? They're just being more open to another way, a different possibility. of how we receive and perceive information, collecting and receiving information from the animal kingdom, the elemental kingdom, the plants and nature, from the cosmos. Again, whatever you're related to, whatever you're attracted to, whatever resonates with you, it's awakening in you. And so being able to call on and ask for what you want. So what is it that you want? You're lonely. And are you looking for deep, meaningful connection with people, perhaps with a lover, right? With a partner? Maybe you're in a relationship, but you're not getting what you need in that person. Maybe your frequency has elevated and theirs hasn't, which, there's no judgment there, but you're just not resonating. You're not vibing on the same frequency and that same channel. And, so you guys are just not able to communicate with each other. Friends, your family members, like having a spiritual awakening, you'll notice that, the things that don't serve you anymore are organically going to start to fall away. Sometimes it can be painful. But if you're aware of it and in that space of actual, being in awareness, being in that true awareness of what is happening, and that it's a spiritual, you're ascending and not resisting it, because the pain and the suffering come from that which we resist. So what if you were able to just kind of let it go? You can mourn, you can grieve, you can be sad for friends or partners or family members maybe that you're not jiving with and you don't spend as much time with anymore. That's all fine and good, but it doesn't have to be so painful, right? It doesn't have to be so painful. Another thing that's coming up is your connection to source. So we talk about your self, sometimes they call it the lower self. I'm not, your ego self, your I self, that part of you that is learning in this lifetime, learning the lessons. That part of you that judges and gets triggered, right? All those, there's that part of us. And then there's our higher self, or what we call our authentic self, or our true self. And that is our soul self. That is the part of us that has that direct connection to the creative consciousness of all that is, to the cosmos, the divine mother, the divine father, right? All of that. And so as we're navigating in this lifetime, just noticing what parts of you are showing up, right? So if you're connected to your higher self, or your true self, you will never be lonely, because you are the universe, right? My mind, your mind, one mind. You are the universe. So when your energy centers are in balance, when specifically your crown chakra is open and in balance, that is your connection to source. So when you're feeling lonely, I will tell you, abso-freaking-lutely, your crown chakra is closed and out of balance. So what are some practices that you can do to open up the crown chakra, right? Getting out into nature, asking, what is your intention? Do you have a spiritual practice? And that's one of the things that I do, is I teach people how to create their personalized blueprint, their own spiritual daily practice that will help you stay connected to all the magic, right, in the world, whatever your thing is of connection, trees and plants and animals and bumblebees, working with totem animals, guardian angels, ascended masters, teachers, gods, goddesses, whatever resonates with you, the fairies, the dragons. There's so much amazingness out there that you can be exploring. And the thing is, what is your intention every day? Sure. Okay. So you're feeling lonely. What is your intention? And what is stopping you from putting yourself out there? And it's usually the deep healing that needs to be done, the inner child healing, right? That is the work that I do with my clients. So as I've unraveled myself over time and come to a place where, you know what, I want to attract, I want to draw in higher vibing women, people, individual souls into my life. And then I start putting myself out there a little bit, whether it be in your local community, meetup. I have a meetup group, Spiritual and Sovereign Women Unite. Join us there. I offer virtual and in-person events in the Raleigh area. Social media, right? There's lots of amazing groups out there. I also have a Facebook group called Spiritual and Sovereign Women. Join us there. Like-minded women like yourself and men as well. There's women's groups, there's men's groups, right? Local, and again, spirituality, whatever that is. It could be a Unitarian church. It could be the Spiritualist church, a non-denominational kind of church. The good news is you don't have to be alone. There are so many people out there saying they're lonely, yet not reaching out. People are posting anonymously, right? In these groups and saying, I'm lonely, I'm alone, I'm this, I'm that. But then they're not taking advantage of someone extends an olive leaf and they say, well, I'm lonely too. Let's meet for tea. And then this thing inside of you gets nervous. So just delete, destroy, and uncreate everything and anything that is standing in the way of you being the opposite of lonely. But first, it has to start with you. It has to start with you. Stop looking outside of yourself for things, right? Drugs, books, Amazon, food, whatever it is, to fill that void, and fill it yourself. Know that you're an amazing, awesome, fantastic, badass, weirdo, mystic, and misfit, right? And that what do you got to lose? Like, you just have to ask yourself, what are you so afraid of? Like, confront the fear, right? Have tea with your inner demons, whatever you want to call it, your inner dragons, right? Have tea with it. Don't slay it. Fear, acronym, false evidence appearing real. False evidence appearing real. Everything that we want is on the other side of our comfort zone. So what is something that you can do today? One small step to bring yourself closer to creating that unity in community. Because you're not meant to be alone. Again, lone wolf here, who has had an amazing beloved partner, the man I always dreamed of that I never thought I would find. I honestly thought that I was just supposed to be alone for my whole life, but humans were not meant to. I'm not saying that you have to live with someone. You can have your own place in your own apartment, but we're just not meant to be alone. So I advise you or invite you to call in your spiritual family on all levels, right? On the higher dimensional levels and the 12D and the higher in the cosmos, but also on this planet, because we're here to integrate with the people, right? That's what we're here to do. If you need support, reach out. I really encourage, like the channel, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what other topics you'd like to hear. Be and see the magic in everyday life. I love you.